Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. This is the Black Diamond Summit Services webinar. Today we are going to take you on a journey to explore all that Summit Services at Black Diamond Advisory has to offer. Today we will have the pleasure of hearing from Luke Slevin, who's on the call here with me as well, who has been with Black Diamond for a year now and has been the fearless leader of the Summit Services Group. And also we'll hear from myself, Shauna and Luke. I have been with Black Diamond almost 3 years now in various leadership roles, currently serving in a sales and marketing capacity for Summit Services. All right, let's go ahead and start off with a brief intro of Black Diamond. Black Diamond is in its 4th year of business and has successfully delivered almost 200 OneStream projects in just 4 short years. Now, even though BDA has only been around for 4 years, it is the largest OneStream partner in the world, operating in the US, Canada, EMEA, and Asia. Now I'm going to turn it over to Luke to give us a little bit more information about Summit Services.
Thanks, Shauna. With Summit Services, we really want to redefine what is managed services. We want to deliver a distinctly different client experience overall. Our focus extends beyond the initial implementation for our customers and is really centered around continuous innovation and enhancements post-go live, providing ongoing platform guidance that adapts to the evolving and ever-changing landscape of the OneStream platform, as well as being able to have a dedicated team that's there for any kind of break fix or support requests that may arise with our customers. Overall, with Summit Services, we exist as an extension of your team to provide both enhancement and break fix capabilities. We've created a purpose-built team of OneStream experts across the many functional and technical areas of the OneStream platform. The service is structured so that you have dedicated staffing through both a primary and a secondary consultant that are assigned to you as a customer. Not only are we able to build a strong relationship and a deep understanding of your implementation through this, but this also ensures you have coverage for any of your enhancement or break fix needs. In addition, this provides you with direct access to your BDA team for anything from platform guidance to the break fix requests overall. So we find that this is really a good mix and acts as a great extension of your team. This breaks down into what we call basically 2 different phases, which we'll talk about in just a second. The first one is initiation. The initiation phase is really about, overall, the Summit Services has a specific methodology that sets our team up for success. And this starts with the initiation phase. Our dedicated consultants follow a detailed process first for knowledge transfer, for how we learn about our clients and what our implementation teams have done for that. So we follow a detailed process for the knowledge transfer from our implementation teams to our Summit Services consultants. This makes sure that our team is up to speed of what has been implemented within OneStream, both from a functional and a technical side of things. In parallel to the knowledge transfer, we are also scheduling a kickoff call during this initiation phase with our customers. This kickoff call reviews how Summit Services works. We learn about the customer's definition of success now that they are post-go live and what kind of aspirations that they have with the platform and future work that they have, as well as we introduce the Summit Services ticketing system at this time as well. The ticketing system allows for submission, of both enhancement and break fix requests, as well as provides a central area for our clients to report on the requests that they have open, get the latest updates on those requests, and interact with our consultants from there as well. Following the kickoff call, there's one additional call that is scheduled, which is the process alignment call. That's part of the align portion of this. In this call, we establish and align on processes around how requests are submitted to the Summit Services consultants. What are the different roles and responsibilities of all those involved? And we review any change control processes that are in place for our customers. And finally, through that, we also establish the meeting cadence for Summit Services. So the align portion is very important, so we all understand how we're going to interact together, how we're going to take on requests from our clients, how that all works, as well as once Summit Services has actually implemented these requests for our clients, how do we take it through your change control process as far as bringing it from the lower environments to the higher environments you may have. Following that align call, we make sure that access is provided to both the customer OneStream application as well as to the Summit Services ticketing system. Following the align piece, and now that everyone has access, the focus is around this guidebook piece, and this happens internally, but is also shared with the client. All of the items that have been created thus far as part of the initiation portion of this or discussed as part of it are combined into a single document that Summit Services calls the guidebook. This guidebook includes recordings of the knowledge transfer processes and sessions, documentation resources that have been handed over by the implementation team to the Summit team. These have also typically been handed over to the client as well. And then any documentation that we've done as part of the process alignment call that we've had with our customers around change control, et cetera, so that anybody working on the Summit Services account there has the same information and can always reference that. So that's how we kind of start off Summit Services to make sure that our consultants are set up for success. Following the initiation portion, we move right into the execution phase. As part of that, in execution, our consultants are working on a weekly basis the different requests, enhancements, and break fix requests that you have submitted through the Summit Services ticketing portal, or system rather, providing levels of effort on enhancement requests so that together we can best plan for timelines and priorities around getting those items implemented. Our consultants will meet with you weekly through the established cadence to review open requests, provide updates on progress of those requests, as well as discuss upcoming initiatives that you may have. Each week, you will receive a status report that provides transparency into the hours utilized, as well as what requests have been completed in the last week from that perspective overall. Now I'll turn it over to Shauna to talk about a little bit about governance within Summit Services.
All right, thanks, Luke. Appreciate you covering the initiation and execution phases of Summit Services. Like Luke said, we'd like to quickly kind of cover our governance model. Basically, it's kind of broken out into 4 different parts: a daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. We'll just go over each of those briefly. On a daily basis, we are ensuring that we are adhering to the SLAs. Of course, we always want to make sure customers are happy and that we're responding to their needs in the amount of time necessitated by the priority of the requests that they're raising. And then after that, it's on a weekly basis. We conduct status calls with each Summit Services customer to review their requests with them and understand the priority of each of those requests. This allows each of our customers to choose what items they want us to work on and in what order. After that, let's talk a little bit about the monthly cadence. And so on a monthly basis, our customers receive a status report. This report provides them with a summary of the requests that we have addressed within that month. And then also the hours that we used in order to address each of those requests or tickets. We do that so that each customer receives a reconciliation of the hours and how they have been used in any given month. It also allows them to see how they're trending as far as their hourly usage within each month. And then finally, on a quarterly basis, we engage our customers for explicit feedback on any areas we can improve and make adjustments to. We also meet with them to outline any upcoming initiatives or enhancements that they would like to implement. And then finally, we discuss contract utilization. If they have, for example, been consistently running over their monthly hours, we may want to amend the contract to add hours to their monthly allotment. And on the other side of that, if they've been consistently running under their monthly allotment of hours, we can also amend the contract to more closely align with actual utilization rates. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into Summit Services and what it has to offer. Summit Services here at Black Diamond is a little bit different because it's actually 2 services in one, making it really unique. So the first service that Black Diamond offers is enhancement requests. And then the second one we'll talk about a little bit is going to be that break fix part. Now, traditionally, when you approach most consulting firms, what they're going to offer you is a traditional support offering, which is very much break fix services. And that's how Summit here at Black Diamond is different, in that what we really want to be is an extension of your team, basically giving you a dedicated OneStream consultant to help work on enhancing your system. As we all know, business processes change monthly, quarterly, and yearly, and you're going to need access to some talent, some OneStream talent, to keep your system in line with those changing business processes that kind of happen in that everyday business landscape. And so that's where we like to spend a lot of our time with these hours for Summit, is really, making sure that your OneStream application stays in step with the changing business and business needs. With those enhancements, the SLAs don't really apply on those particular requests. Under that first umbrella with the enhancements also includes month-end support, or let's just call it critical business activity support, whether it be preparing a budget or a forecast or month-end, etc. And then on the other side of that is the break fix portion of it. The resources here at Black Diamond are then obviously readily available to address any disruptions that you experience in your OneStream application. There's certain working hours that are going to be available to do that, dedicated to your application. And then Luke will talk about that a little bit more in the next couple slides. And then also it's the break fix items that adhere to the SLA structure.
Thanks, Shauna. Enhancement requests, as Shauna mentioned, are a really big focus area of Summit Services. Post-implementation, if you've been using the system, there can be things that come up or new ideas that you have of how you want to enhance the system, or as Shauna mentioned, business processes change, etc. We're here to help you with that. Enhancement requests submitted to our consultants are reviewed when they first come in. The first thing that they're doing is coming up with a level of effort of how long it is going to take our consultants to implement those requests for you. That level of effort helps us then inform you as the customer for how best you want to use those hours. So following that level of effort, our consultants will work with you to determine the priority ranking of those requests against your other open items, and come up together as partners the timeline of when we can implement that enhancement request for you. One thing to mention around these enhancements is the size of them. Through the level of effort process, we want to review the complexity of the requests being submitted. If we find that the request is larger than 40 hours, we want to dig into that further to determine why that request we believe is going to be over 40 hours. Is that a really complex request? That it is more of a project level size request, or is it simply a larger configuration effort that we can do? We evaluate those requests on a case-by-case basis to make sure that the requests that we're taking on within Summit Services fit within the Summit methodology of how we're implementing those requests for you. At the end of the day, we want to make sure we are not taking on project level requests within Summit Services. But again, we'll always review what is the true complexity beyond the requests that you kind of have from that side of things. As mentioned before, these requests are not SLA bound. Our consultants will work with you to basically get those scheduled on a weekly basis and meet with you to go through those requests that you have. So that's the first half of Summit Services. The second piece is around break fix requests. On the break fix side of Summit Services, we provide coverage hours of 9 to 5 in the customer's time zone, where we'll have a Summit Services consultant available to work your request. Again, this is your dedicated consultant you have available there. These break fix requests are SLA bound, and you can see here we have our standard priority levels along with the response time SLAs outlined here. The way this works is when a request is submitted, our system notifies the primary consultant for a request that has been opened. They begin reviewing that request to determine if there's any additional information that is needed to successfully start working on the request. At that time, after they've triaged that quickly and reviewed that, they will take ownership of that request within the system, and they will send you an SLA email letting yourself know that they've began working on that request, as well as at the time if they need to ask that additional information, they will do it at that time. The Summit consultant will work that request until resolution, or if they need to set up a meeting with you, they'll do that. Following any kind of resolution, they will perform all needed testing to make sure what they have done is correct and meets all of your needs. And then they will hand it over to you as the customer to test and follow the outlined change process for moving changes between environments from that side of things. So that's kind of how the break fix portion of our service works overall. Next, to just briefly showcase here, this screen showcases our dedicated Summit Services team, comprising of individuals with very diverse expertise in the EPM, CPM space. Our team members bring a wealth of both functional and technical knowledge to empower our customers for success. We've got a great team, again, of dedicated consultants that are able to really partner with you and understand your implementation at a deep level and be able to provide you with the best kind of service that you need overall.
All right, so yeah, thanks, Luke, for providing some more details on that. So we wanted to share with this audience who is already benefiting from Summit Services. As you can see from this slide, we have 30 plus different customers of various shapes and sizes and industries who are part of the Summit Services family. And so really, no matter the scale or intricacy of the project, we basically got you covered. All right, and then on our last slide, before we get to the Q&A portion of this session, we wanted to do kind of a quick hit on topics that we get asked frequently about Summit contracts. So I'll just review these briefly. Typically, when it comes to the number of hours per month, we recommend starting with the 40 hours as a baseline. This allows you to kind of maximize the benefit of getting kind of that OneStream consultant dedicated to helping to enhance your application. As far as the length of those contracts, we typically recommend 12 months. As far as the hourly rate, there is an hourly rate in those contracts, and we have a standard hourly rate per hour for Summit Services. And then as far as the Summit resources, like Luke said earlier, we do have a dedicated primary resource that knows your application inside and out, and then a secondary resource on your application as well that will be kind of assigned to your account basically upon contract execution. And then the payment terms typically within those contracts are going to match whatever it is we have agreed to in MSA or the previous project SOW as well. And then we get asked a lot about hours and rolling over hours and whatnot. And these contracts actually, the hours do not roll over. We are very efficient at managing the hours and making sure that we are maximizing the value that you get every month for the hours that you purchase. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. It looks like we've had a few questions come in the Q&A portion here. I'll go ahead and walk through those and we'll get those answered. So the first question that we have here is, do I have visibility to my hours that have been used and my available hours throughout the month? Luke, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I would love to. So certainly, as a customer, you receive weekly status reports that are sent out to provide a comprehensive overview to you around what hours have been utilized. These reports include details on the number of hours utilized, the status of open or in progress items, as well as a running total of your monthly hours that you've consumed up to that point.
Perfect. All right, and then the second question we have here are, what are the monthly hours used for?
It really breaks down into basically two categories. About 10% of the hours we find are utilized for administrative items, such as weekly meetings or updates with the customers, as well as weekly status reports from that side of things. Then the bulk of the hours, about 90% of them, are used on those two areas of Summit Services that we find the most, both on the enhancement side and on the break fix side of things for our customers.
All right, that's a pretty good explanation. We'll go ahead and go on to the next question that we have here. The next question is, what if I am consistently not using all of my hours? Then what happens?
It's a great question. Shauna mentioned this a little bit briefly when we were talking about, kind of as we go through the contract there, but we will review the hours that each customer uses on a quarterly basis through that kind of governance structure and adjust the contract up or down via contract amendment to match whatever you are needing if you're not using all of those hours, et cetera.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, and then it looks like we have two more questions here. So the next one is, how does Summit Services, or the folks in Summit Services, How do they decide which tickets to work on, kind of first, second, and third?
Great question. So during those weekly meetings that we've established during the initiation portion and the meeting cadence, we really want to collaborate with you to establish what is the priority order of those requests. We will provide the level of effort for each of the enhancement requests that are opened up to make sure that we address and kind of get that priority list for you, and we can work together to understand what is the most important and critical tasks, basically work those in the order that you specify. We're completely flexible. And again, we want to be there to provide value and hit those in the order that you need overall.
Perfect. All right. And the final question that we have here is, do my original project resources that I worked with on the project, probably for like months, maybe even years, depending on the project, did they work on the tickets that I submit?
That's a great question. So one of the big advantages of Summit Services is having those dedicated Summit resources. So your dedicated Summit resources will work on your request. However, if any of the members of the original project team are needed, yes, we are able to engage them through Summit Services for any assistance you may need overall. That's a great question.
All right. That concludes the Q&A portion of our session. We want to go ahead and wrap up. And on behalf of Summit Services and Black Diamond Advisory, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. If you would like any additional information, go ahead and contact us at summitsales@blackdiamondadvisory.com. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day.